Hey everybody, I'm back working on the Mustang today. Today I got the hood out here in the driveway and it's got the epoxy primer on it. And what I want to do now is I'm going to spray on some filler primer. I went to the paint store and I got some filler primer. It's like a medium build. I'm going to put a couple of coats of that filler primer on the hood and see if it's going to cover up the sanding scratches that you get for the body filler that's on here. When you put the epoxy primer on, it doesn't really hide the sanding scratches that are in the body filler. So if I come around, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so if you look at this hood, you can see, like in this area right here, there's like a circle, and then there's like a dull area and a bright area. And then you can see these other dull spots like here, there's a large dull area on the hood. And that's caused by, those are places where we have body filler that we've subsequently sanded out, and then we put this epoxy primer on top. So the epoxy primer doesn't really hide those sanding scratches. And I have those kind of all over the car, especially on the hood here, the fenders. So I'm going to mix up some of this filler primer and spray the hood. I'll put a couple of coats on and see if that hides these scratches. Alright, so here's what I'm using. It's a Nissan Select Prime. It's a 2K primer. It's a filler primer. They told me at the paint store it's kind of like a medium build. They have a thinner version and a thicker version. So I'm going to try out this one. It's a 4-to-1 reduction, so the little can on the right is the reducer, or I guess it's the activator, sorry. So I'll mix up a little bit of this and we'll squirt it on the hood. And I'm sure I'm going to have too much. I'll probably do a little bit on the fender as well. And we'll come back and see how it covers when it's dry. So here's the finished hood. It came out pretty good. I'm happy with how it came out. I need to play a little bit with the settings on the paint gun. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's kind of banded. I tried to overlap the primer, the paint lines, but it comes out a lot thicker. Obviously, I didn't realize how thick it was coming out, and the paint lines weren't really overlapped that well, so there's some like stripes. I tried to go, horizontally and vertically on the hood, to get overlap on it, but I think you can still see there's stripes going in each direction. Okay, so what else did I learn about using this spray filler primer? The other thing I figured out is it doesn't cover as much for the same volume that you have in the cup that I get with the epoxy. So I needed to mix up another batch while I was doing this, so I was able to get a couple of coats on the hood and the fender. The other thing was I needed to widen out my spray fan. I think I had it dialed in a little too tight. So the settings between the epoxy primer, which is a much thinner paint, and this stuff has an effect on it. So I need to adjust the gun. I might try and get a bigger tip too on that gun. But overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. I showed it to you. You could see that it's covered up those sanding scratches in the filler. And really the only issue now is it's got some stripes in it because I didn't spray overlapped enough when I was going back and forth. And the other thing is it smells nicer. It kind of smells like, I don't know, like grape juice or something. But it's not. It doesn't have that sort of that, like on the epoxy. That stuff just smells like it smells more like paint. And this stuff smells more like like grape bubble gum or something. So at least that way, you don't get a headache while you're sniffing it as much, just from the sharpness of the smell, the bitterness of it. So overall, I got a little more practice to do in order to get set up right to spray the filler primer, but I'm happy that it's going to cover the filler sanding scratches. That was really the point of doing it today. So thanks for watching. Keep coming back, and we'll be working on the Mustang.